as historic reforms in the mapping and geospatial sector. After opening the space sector in 2020 to the private sector, the new policy opens geo-mapping from restrictive use to wider use in the interest of nation building and creating an Atmanirbhar Bharat. To find out how these reforms will unlock the value of the geospatial sector to all of India across consumer, business, government and social sectors, joining me now is Rakesh Verma, Chairman, Managing Director and founder of MapmyIndia. Rakesh, welcome to the show. First up, take me through the key announcements that were made today. How do these guidelines impact and empower Indian companies working in the geospatial sector?
I'll say the very first thing that this announcement has done is remove the kind of obstacles and unnecessary problems that was associated with the mapping industry. The simplest way I can give you the example for this is, if we had to map a pothole on the street, the Indian companies were required to take prior approval from the government agencies to put that point of interest in the map. Now, with such kind of ridiculous archaic policies, the new guidelines have totally revolutionized, and what it says is the Indian companies can go ahead and self-certify that what they are doing is right in the interest of the country, taking care of the national security and the sovereignty of the country.
Sure. Okay. Also, Rakesh, India presently relies heavily on foreign resources for mapping technologies and services. The deregulation of the sector has obviously led to opening up of a huge opportunity across consumer, business, government or social sectors. Now, do you believe liberalization of the mapping industry will enable you and other Indian companies to compete in the global mapping ecosystem?
Absolutely. I think that's a perception that needs to be corrected, that Indian companies do not have the technologies or the maps with them. It was just because one single giant, because of controlling the Android platform, could go and capture the entire market. That probably will start changing with these new guidelines. MapmyIndia is well positioned because MapmyIndia is well respected in the automotive industry, government and businesses, powering e-commerce companies and so many other government organizations projects. The removal of those obstructions that Indian companies have to take permission from the government first was the biggest challenge that we faced in our 25 years of existence.
Okay, so clearly that has solved now. But, locally available and locally relevant maps and geospatial data would definitely help in improved planning and management of resources and better serve the specific needs of the Indian population. But take me through some of the use cases as to how, this technology has entered our homes. Where all can it be used?
Well, how do you get the delivery from companies like Swiggy and Zomato? How do you travel the mobility from Ola, Uber? So when you think about all that, how can something reach the location of the consumer without having a map? I think this part is already well known to the consumers, to the people. They have not known. What they have not known is that the Indian companies do exist, and they can also provide the same services without depending on the foreign companies.
Okay, you spoke about foreign companies. I want to know, what is the biggest impetus, what is the biggest push these reforms have given to Indian companies, to compete globally?
Okay, first, within India, a level playing field has been established. That was the real challenge for us, that the foreign companies could operate in India without any restriction, and the Indian companies had to take all kinds of approvals. Now, once the Indian companies get a foothold in our own country, nothing stops us or any other Indian company to go global and give a fight to the foreign companies who are dominating in their own countries.
Okay.
The technology is fully available with the Indian companies. I think we are Atmanirbhar. MapmyIndia is definitely 100% Atmanirbhar since 25 years. So we have never been dependent on foreign technologies per se.
Okay, Rakesh, let's shift focus from the guidelines announced today and talk about your recent partnership with ISRO. Take me through some of your geospatial services that you're working together on, and when will we see these technologies in the market?
The partnership with ISRO is very timely. I guess without this reform, probably that partnership would have given results in a very slow manner. The ISRO is well known for its space technology, satellite, totally indigenous, maybe owned by the government, but still totally indigenous. MapmyIndia on the other side is also totally indigenous and has total database of the ground level, meaning thereby every road, every building, and every points of interest. And even today, we have created a very unique thing called E-Lock, which is the location code for anything, any place in the country. I will say 90% of the country doesn't have an organized address. Even big cities don't have it. And even if the addresses do exist, they are so complicated. So with the technologies and the kind of process that we have developed with a 6-digit code, one can just put a hand on any location. So now that is the beauty of ISRO and MapmyIndia's participation. People can see the satellite image on the back end. They can see the map on the top. What people do it on Google today, Google Earth and Google Maps.
Absolutely. And you were talking about your 4D digital map twin technology that MapmyIndia has made. And Rakesh, thank you very much for joining us on Startup Street today. And it's good news. Good to hear that the geospatial technology is no longer confined just to security, but will be used for development overall. Thank you so much for joining us today. With that, it's over to you, Mugdha.